The following program contains explicit American history. If you suffer from stupidity, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your revisionist historian.
Proclaiming the truth in the highways and byways of the world. Fighting for justice in the dark alleys of politics. Raising the voice of resistance to a fevered pitch. And he knows where to find the best and worst jail food in America. Randall Terry.
I'm staggering under the burden of joy that Osama bin Laden is dead. And I'm not loco. In fact, we're going to show you today, oh yes, perfect, it's a sign. We're going to show you today that it is an appropriate response to rejoice. Don't go away, you're not going to want to miss this. I'm telling you, it's an appropriate response. I'm talking to people who think it might not be. Today's program brought to you in part by the nation of Pakistan, proud allies in the war on terror, and by the nation of Pakistan, proud allies of terrorism. Don't go away. I've got a quick word from my friend, Joey the Hammer. As you all know, Osama bin Laden has been taken out of this world allegedly by U.S. forces. And now, of course, the conspiracy people are saying, where's the body? Where's the body? Show us some pictures of a dead body. Now, I got to tell you something. I think he's dead. But these morons at the White House should be slapped up and down their head. If you're going to whack a guy, learn from the company. You whack him and then you want everyone to see his body, full of bullets, blood everywhere. It's a testimony to the world that you reign supreme. Instead, what do? They bury him at sea. They turn him into fish food. Obama, are you stupid? I'm sorry, that was clearly obvious. Welcome back to the program, friend. In a moment, we're going to talk about the death of Osama bin Laden. We're going to talk about a relationship with Pakistan. But I have a big announcement to make. Tomorrow, we begin a special series on Christian leadership, on men and women who embrace Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior from the evangelical, Orthodox, and Catholic worlds, for the call of heaven upon them to be leaders in the affairs of this life, in the political realm, in the judicial realm, in the economic realm. We are not called to be the footstool of evil. We are called by heaven to be leaders in the affairs of men. And we're going to take a step-by-step look at the destiny that we have as the children of Abraham, as the seed of Abraham, to possess our enemies' gates. Please watch it. I promise you, you're going to get addicted. And then, when we're done with that series, we're going to be in a new studio. We're very, very excited about that. I ask you for your prayers. Now, to the discussion about bin Laden's death. All across America, people dressed in black and grieved the death of this great freedom fighter. Oh, you've gone too far. That's despicable, you vile dog. All right, I'm sorry. Bad joke. But the truth of the matter is that news of his death was met with muted response in Egypt, our ally in the war on terror. And you might not remember seeing too many jubilant crowds in the Islamic world. Because for many of them, he's like a folk hero. But that's not really the point that I want to make with you right now. I want to talk to you about the Christian response to his death. What is the appropriate response? There are people who say we should not rejoice. There are people who love God who say that it's inappropriate for us to rejoice. For example, there's a passage in the Bible that says that God takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked, and that Osama bin Laden, who clearly was an enemy of Jesus Christ and of the triune God, the Blessed Trinity, who he was self-consciously committed to the enslavement or the eradication of Christianity. Nevertheless, because he was made in the image of God, we should grieve for him and not rejoice at his death. I believe that position, though well-meaning and anchored as all good Christian positions and faulty Christian positions, it's anchored in Scripture. I would like to point out, for food for thought, some other passages and principles that we find in the Scriptures. For example, when David killed Goliath, there was great rejoicing. When they came back, when the Jews came back from defeating the Philistines, the women of the town met them with dancing and songs and with tambourines singing, "Saul has slain his thousands, David his tens of thousands." They were singing and rejoicing because of the death of so many enemies of God. When you look at other passages in the Psalms, again and again, you see David rejoicing when the self-conscious enemies of the majesty of heaven are brought low in war, in some form of judgment. You can also look to the book of Revelation. In fact, I would encourage you to read the entire 18th chapter, just for example, because there are well-meaning people who, again, will say, "Well, that's in the Old Testament, brother. You can't find nothing like that in the New Testament." Well, actually, you can. Go to Revelation chapter 18 and see for yourself, where God himself actually encourages people to rejoice over the judgment that's being brought on the wicked who had persecuted the church. They are called to rejoice when judgment falls. So, while there is a part of us, because of the basic tenderness of humanity, that would want to grieve for the wicked, the loss of their soul, the loss of their eternal soul, I think that we need to focus on justice and the place that we have to rejoice, to literally rejoice when justice is brought against somebody who embodies an evil of this magnitude. You will remember on VE Day that there was great singing and dancing in the streets of America, song and mirth and laughter. VE Day, by the way, is victory in Europe. It was at the end of World War II. There was great singing and rejoicing, laughter, parties, because the Nazi war machine had finally been crushed and Adolf Hitler was dead. There is a place, there is a time for rejoicing. Now, I'm going to let you know what you already know. There will be repercussions. There just will be. Osama bin Laden's son, in an interview done within the last year or so, said that if his father was killed, that there would be repercussions. And by the way, he does not support his father's actions. Okay, this is his fourth son. But he said he knows these men, and that if bin Laden is killed, as he has been, that there will be reprisals, there will be vengeance killings committed by Muslims. Obviously, the easiest attacks are those overseas, where Americans frequent, perhaps clubs or pubs, or perhaps American facilities that are not guarded very heavily. In America, the people in New York City are very nervous right now. They're worried. The Los Angeles sheriff has told people, be on the lookout. There probably are going to be reprisals, friends. This is not like a normal war. In a normal war, you have one belligerent against another, and the ability to send ambassadors, the ability to negotiate a truce, the ability to settle on terms, the ability for one side to surrender to another. You have none of that This is not a regular standing army. This isn't even an insurgency inside of a border. This is a religious, socio-political movement aimed at the conquest of the world in the name of Islam. One nation at a time. When we come back from this break, I'm going to show you some footage of a rejoicing little demonstration on the streets here inside our nation's capital. And we're going to talk about Pakistan. The good, the bad, the really bad, and the somewhat ugly. Don't go away.
President Obama is the first case of polio since the widespread use of the Sabin and Salk vaccines. Infantile paralysis.
Moments with Moses. They shall pursue you until you perish. And the heavens over your head shall be brass, and the earth under you shall be iron.
Welcome back to the program, friend. Are you tired of being a doormat for evil? Well, if so, you're going to want to watch the upcoming series, a special on Christian leadership. We're looking for people who are willing to say to the Lord, Lord, here am I. Send me into the body politic, into the culture wars, into the halls of Congress, the Senate, the judiciary, into big business, so that we can have righteous men and women of the caliber of Patrick Henry, John Adams, Samuel Adams, George Washington, men and women who self-consciously seek to bring justice and righteousness to the earth through the means of government where justice demands it. Okay? Oh, you're not trying to use the government to make everyone a Christian, are you? No. Watch the series. You're going to love it. Begins tomorrow. This will be the last show that we shoot in this studio. I feel like weeping. It's been a year of broadcasting. We're on 22 stations, over 1 million viewers a week online. You're watching the #1 Tea Party television show, baby. And we're about to expand to a very big studio. We can do all kinds of crazy and fun things. Speaking of crazy and fun, speaking of rejoicing that this mass murderer was brought to justice, we took to the streets yesterday with our camera, and, well, Andrew, I don't even think I should set this up any more than that. Do you? No? Just play that bad boy? All right. Roll tape. News of Osama bin Laden's death was greeted across America with jubilation. Look, a parade. How do you feel about the news of Osama bin Laden's death?
It is very good day for Osama's wives.
As you can see by the reaction from the people passing by, there really is jubilation. Ding dong, Osama's dead. What's your message here today?
Go Navy, God bless the SEALs.
Why are you here today?
I'm here to rejoice over Osama's reward in hell.
Don't you think it's a little inappropriate to rejoice that someone like him has been killed?
Well, I was kind of sorry for that split second, and then I just couldn't help but rejoice. I didn't get to sleep at all last night. I didn't. My goats was jumping up. All my cows, they were going nuts. It was a party in the ranch, I'm telling you.
Well, there you have it. Rejoicing and jubilation about the news of Osama bin Laden's demise. Back to you, Randall. Well, there you have it. I have to admit, I was rather tickled to find Rusty Cowpoke on the streets of our nation's capital. Go Rusty. Botox, buddy. All right, I'm I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about Pakistan. They were not informed. What's it all about, Alfie? How come Osama bin Laden was hiding in broad daylight right next to their own West Point? Hello? Don't go away.
I need to be healed. I'm starting to feel something, Father. He's the one. He's the one. Your people are sick. In your souls, you are sick. I want to be normal like you.
Success cannot be guaranteed. There are no safe battles. Sir Winston Churchill. Welcome back to the program, friend. Beginning tomorrow, a series on Christian leadership in politics, education, business, the judiciary. How are we supposed to help the poor? Does God want a socialist plantation? Or does God have another agenda on how to care for the poor? While this special series is running, we are going to be removing and rebuilding our studio. We're very, very excited. I am truly going to miss broadcasting from the studio. You know what? Let's send people on a little guided tour. Very little. This is actually a portion of my library, and we're having debates on whether or not we should continue the library format in my next studio. I don't know what to do. Show them over here, Gary. We've got on these shelves, we've got Christian history over here. Then the next shelf, we've got American history. Over here, we've got a lot of church history, complete works of Teddy Roosevelt, encyclopedias down at the bottom behind my gumball machine. In here are all reference works dealing with the scriptures. Of course, my favorite icons. This place matters to me. I know that this is probably a little goofy to some of you, but I really cherish this stuff. I love this. Over here, we've got great books. Up on top there is one of the most renowned histories of the Islamic world. If you want to understand Islam, study Islamic history. And then, of course, over here, my Winston Churchill section, and as well as English history. I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that looks kind of messy in here right now, and got your Greek history and your Islamic history down there as well. You'd be shocked. You'd absolutely be shocked how much information is secretly hidden away in books. If we would just turn off our televisions right after my program and read some books, good books, well, we'd be a lot better equipped. In fact, you know what? Read Machiavelli, The Prince. Read The Prince by Machiavelli and see what we're dealing with in people like Osama bin Laden. All right, back to Pakistan. And by the way, again, this is be our last program in this studio. We're going to start a big series on Christian leadership. You are not going to want to miss it, boy. Tell your friends to tune in. Some of you, if you'll focus on the material, you're going to end up coming out of it as leaders. You will. All right, Pakistan. How is it that Osama bin Laden could be living in a city of 90,000 people, just a couple of miles away from what is basically the West Point of Pakistan? How could he be living there, hiding in broad daylight, and for people to not know it? First of all, it is true that Pakistan has worked with us, and the U.S. State Department has said that Pakistan has killed more terrorists than any other Islamic nation. All right, now part of that is because Pakistan is fighting for its own survival. There are elements of people inside their secret service, inside their military, inside their government that clearly want a more oppressive Islamic regime in Islamabad. That's what they want. Well, therefore, you've got more moderate Muslims who want to stay in power, and they are a target of some of these terrorists. See, remember, according to Islamic Orthodox philosophy, if Muslims are helping infidels, then those Muslims can be treated like infidels. In other words, Benedict Arnold betrayed the U.S. forces, tried to the British, tried to give them West Point. He was treated as a traitor okay, as a spy. And so in Islamic philosophy, if you're helping the infidels, like Americans, against your fellow Muslims, then you can and should be treated like an infidel. That's what's going on. And so these moderate Islamic officials are trying to save their own bacon. Nevertheless, there are elements, high-ranking elements in the Pakistani government that knew that Osama bin Laden was there. There's no question that they knew. So we've got problems. And I'll tell you something. I've got to take a break, but I'll tell you something. If Pakistan's nukes fall into the wrong hands, the history of the world as we know it is going to take a sudden and sharp and irrevocable turn. Don't go away.
The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupted and become abominable in iniquities. There is none that doth good.
Samuel Adams said, if ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that ye were our countrymen. Did you know that Samuel Adams was a devout Christian? Did you know that he anchored his patriotism, even the American Revolution, in the sacred scriptures? For the next few weeks, we're going to discuss the theology that animated our founders. The theology that calls men and women like you and I to stand in the public square and not just herald the truth, but fight for the truth. And not just fight for the truth, but see to it that the truth prevails. Stay with me through this coming series, folks. We ask for your prayers as we rebuild our studio. God bless you.